Hi, Dave Youngquist. Welcome to Last Cavalry TV. Well, this is Painting the Cowboy, Part 3, The Face. We'll cover some new colors, for painting some flesh tones. We'll cover painting the eyes and also the hair. Let's get started. So our first step is to get a good base coat on the face. I'm going to be using the Andrea color number 2 from the Flesh Paint set. It's a real nice medium brown color. I really think it's a good starting point for the, for the other colors that we'll be applying. We're going to mix it to a medium consistency because we do want it to be a very opaque finish. And this paint is very good and should cover with just one application. So just slop it in there. You can see I keep, keeping the brush wet, which is always important when painting with acrylics. And just get into all the little areas there. Now that it's dried, I always like to start with painting the eyes. So I'm going to use the Andrea color number 4, again from the same flesh set. It's a very nice light color, and I know I've mentioned this 100 times, but never use white when you're painting the whites of the eyes. It'll look way too stark. I'm using a Winsor Newton brush, and we're just going to block that color right in there. Again, we don't have to be too fussy here because we're going to be cutting everything back, and you can see I'm not being fussy at all. There. Next, we begin to detail the eye. I'm using an Andrea flat black, and for a closer look, we'll begin right from the start. So we get that Andrea color number 4 in, the Andrea flat black. Then I'm going to add another Andrea color. It's a Union Blue. Paint the pupil. Using mahogany brown, we create the upper eyelash, and then we cut back with Andrea color number 1 from the flesh set. On a larger scale, I would paint a catch light and also put a bit of a pink wash into the sides of the eyes. That's for another video. So you can see that we're cutting back, and on this video I'm only going to be doing the left side of the face. I'll paint the right side off camera, but we'll show you the finished product at the end of the video. There's the Andrea blue I was talking about. Very nice light blue. Get a little bit of that out there. Again, we're going to thin this to a medium consistency, so just a little bit of water on the brush. And we paint the light blue inside of the iris. Just take our time and just tap it in. A little bit more. And then the step you saw in the animation, we're going to take Vallejo mahogany brown, thin it out, dab away the excess, and we're going to put in the upper shadow on the eye. It also helps to cut the eye back this way, but it also accentuates the upper eyelash. Then using the same color, heavily thinned out, we put in the lower eye bag. You can see the paint is very, very wet. Just kind of blend it out a little bit, and we'll just repeat this step a couple times to get that color. Now we have a bit of the Andrea color number 5, which is a bit of a darker brown. Thin it out. And we're going to paint in the shadow on the side of the nose, a little bit more underneath the eye bag, down towards the cheek area, underneath the lip. And you can see the paint is very, very thin. The nice thing about this is that with repeated steps, we can build up our color as opposed to trying to achieve a really good balance with one coat of paint. You're much better off doing it in thin layers. So I'm adding a bit of the Flesh Paint set number 6, Andrea again, which has a red cast to it, and we're going to add a bit of that into the hollows of the cheeks, and just adding a bit here and there just to bring a bit of life to the figure. This is color number 1, same paint set, and we're going to thin this out quite a bit as this becomes our first highlight color. Tap away the excess, and we begin by painting the cheek. And you can see how thin the paint is, and that allows us to do a bit of wet blending, and we keep wiping away the excess. And a bit more, just building that color in very thin, translucent layers. There. A little bit up on the forehead. And a reason for using the translucent layers is that it allows the previous colors to show through, which builds up the depth. That's what creates the depth of tone in the face. Color number 3, which is a lighter color again. And very, very thin. You could see, really, we're painting just with, frankly, dirty water right at this point. And get rid of that excess. And in a smaller area, we go just to the top of the cheek, right underneath the eye bag. And we feather that out. Remember, the paint's super thin and very wet, so it does allow wet blending. And this is basic skin tone. This is a new Ammo of Mid color, which I really like. It's from their new flesh paint set. A lighter highlight still. Very thin again. Get rid of the excess. And a little highlight right there, right at the bridge of the nose. Upper eye bag, a little bit of highlight, and you can see that the paint was still wet, so we are allowed to blend, or we are able to blend a bit. Then a highlight right above the mustache, top of the chin. A little bit more underneath that eye bag. And I'm just smoothing it out. There's almost no paint on the brush whatsoever. Okay, now for the lips. We're going to use the Vallejo Dark Red. Mix it with a bit of that Andrea, color number 1. Yeah, get that. And that Vallejo Dark Red is absolutely the best color for painting lips I've ever found. It just has to be mixed with the flesh color to bring it, into the particular color that we're looking for. We just, simple as that, we just brush it in. Now, a very high highlight color. We're actually going to be using the Andrea color number 4 that we actually used to paint the eyes. We're going to thin it out again. And again, just a bit on the upper eye bag and just a real high highlight underneath the eye bag and at the very top of the chin, a little bit more the side of the nose, the bridge of the nose. And the figure's starting to pop a little bit. And I'm all hunched up trying to get this painted. Okay. Add a little bit of shadow color there. Just a little bit of the number 6 color. Now to paint a 5 o'clock shadow. We're going to take an Andrea blue. And really what you're looking for is just a medium blue. We're going to mix it with the flesh color. In this case, it was the number 3, but if you've got any good flesh color, it'll work. And we get this kind of this pukey green color, which doesn't look like it's going to make any sense at all. Thin it out like crazy. You can see, again, it's basically just dirty water. Tap away the excess, and then lightly apply this color. You'll notice that the first couple layers are almost invisible. There you go. You can start seeing it. And then we'll put some on the side of the cheeks, his jowls, and we'll stipple that in. You can see the stippling motion. And then with a clean brush, just tap away the excess. Now for the hair. We're going to use Vallejo Camo Black Brown, which is a really, really dark brown. It's a fantastic color. It's also great for chipping on armor models. So we're just going to apply this, almost no thinning whatsoever. And we're just going to block it in. And just be careful around all the hard work we've just finished doing on the face. There we go. And then we're going to add my favorite color, burnt umber. You knew it couldn't be a Last Cavalry project without some burnt umber. So we're going to use the burnt umber as our first highlight color. I'll go up into the eyebrow. I always tend to make the eyebrows just a shade lighter than the hair, regardless of the color of hair that I'm painting. And we'll just adding highlights to the areas where light would be falling on the figure. Again, we're using 12 o'clock noon, high noon, as our light source. Okay. Added just a bit of flat flesh to the burnt umber for our high highlights on the hair. There. You can see it's starting to come to life a little bit now. Again, the paint is not as thin as we've used in the previous steps. Just a little bit of water to help it flow. A little bit of highlight there on that eyebrow. Added a bit more flat flesh to the burnt umber. Show a little contrast. There's our highlights. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Part 4 will be coming up very soon, where we'll begin the painting of his clothing. Keep watching to see the completed face in 3 views. I finished the right side off camera. This has been Dave Youngquist, Last Cavalry TV.